This is Adam Schefter, and I have a breaking Schefter bomb that is absolutely rocking the foundations of the NovaCare complex this morning. We are talking about a seismic shift in the Philadelphia landscape that nobody saw coming, at least not in this public of a fashion. Our sources are confirming that the legendary, the incomparable veteran center Jason Kelce has officially broken his silence regarding the current state of the Philadelphia Eagles offense. This isn't just a minor critique. This is a full-scale blast directed at the coaching staff and specifically the decision-making of head coach Nick Sirianni. Before we dive into the deep end of these explosive comments and what they mean for the future of the Birds, I need everyone watching to stop what you are doing. If you bleed green, if you live and breathe Philadelphia football, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Join our community and smash the like button because we are bringing you the absolute latest, unfiltered news that you won't get anywhere else. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and tell me, where are you watching from? I want to see the global reach of the Eagles Nest right now. Now, let's get into the heart of this controversy. During a recent radio appearance that has sent shockwaves through the city of Philadelphia, Jason Kelce did something he rarely does with such bluntness while still being so closely tied to the team's inner circle. He took a flamethrower to the offensive strategy, criticizing the lack of utilization for a player he described as a potential game changer. Sources tell me the tension has been simmering for weeks, but Kelce's public stance suggests that internal discussions might have reached a breaking point. We are looking at a veteran leader, a man who is the undisputed heart and soul of this franchise, essentially calling out the play-calling philosophy of Nick Sirianni and offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. The Yardbarker report, which first highlighted these comments less than 24 hours ago, indicates that Kelce is specifically frustrated with how the team is failing to feature their most dynamic weapons at critical junctures of the game. For a team that prides itself on being Philly tough and strategically superior, hearing your legendary center claim that the offense is essentially holding itself back is a massive red flag. This isn't coming from an outsider or a disgruntled former player. This is coming from the man who knows the playbook better than almost anyone in that building. Kelce's comments revolve around the idea that there is a specific offensive threat, a game changer, who is being neglected in the current scheme. While he didn't name names to protect the locker room sanctity, the implications are clear. The Eagles are leaving meat on the bone, and it's costing them consistency. The timing of this blast is particularly sensitive. We are deep into the season where identities should be solidified, yet the Eagles seem to be in a state of internal philosophical warfare. When Kelce speaks, the city listens, and more importantly, the locker room listens. This public critique puts Nick Sirianni in an incredibly difficult position. How do you respond to the most respected man in Philadelphia sports history calling your offensive approach into question? The narrative within the building has always been about connection and accountability, but Kelce's radio appearance suggests that accountability might be lacking at the top. This is the kind of situation that can either spark a necessary change or lead to a complete fracture in the coaching-player dynamic. I'm hearing from people close to the situation that several other veteran players share Kelce's sentiment, even if they haven't been as vocal in the media. The frustration seems to stem from a perceived lack of creativity and a stubbornness to stick to certain concepts that aren't maximizing the roster's elite talent. The Philadelphia Eagles have one of the most expensive and talented rosters in the National Football League, and to have a legend like Kelce publicly state that a game changer isn't being featured enough is an indictment of the highest order. We have to look at the historical context here too. Kelce has seen it all, from the Super Bowl victory to the coaching changes and the rebuilds. He knows what a championship offense looks like, and clearly he doesn't think this version is living up to its potential. The impact of these words cannot be overstated. It forces a conversation that Sirianni likely wanted to keep behind closed doors. Now it's out in the open, and the pressure is mounting for the Eagles to show they can adapt. If they continue to ignore this game changer that Kelce is advocating for, the noise will only get louder. This is a defining moment for the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, and it's all being sparked by the man in the middle of the offensive line. Stay tuned because this story is developing by the minute.
Now, let's take a deep dive into the clinical analysis of what this Jason Kelce blast actually means for the Philadelphia Eagles' infrastructure and their strategic future. When you have a veteran of Kelce's stature questioning the utilization of a game changer, you have to look at the depth chart and the target distribution metrics. This isn't just about feelings, it's about the cold, hard numbers that define NFL success. If we look at the offensive trends under Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore this season, there have been glaring inconsistencies in how certain star players are involved in the progression of the game. Whether it's a failure to involve the tight end over the middle or a lack of creative touches for the backfield, the game changer Kelce refers to is likely someone whose absence from the stat sheet is directly correlating with stalled drives and red zone failures. From a cap perspective, the Eagles have invested heavily in their offensive playmakers. When you have a high-priced roster, you cannot afford to have game changers standing on the sideline or acting as mere decoys for 60 minutes. This creates a massive ROI issue for Howie Roseman in the front office. If the coaching staff isn't maximizing the assets provided to them, it creates a rift between the front office's vision and the field execution. Furthermore, the implications for the depth chart are massive. If Kelce is right and a specific player needs more touches, someone else has to lose them. This is where the locker room chemistry comes into play. Does featuring this game changer more frequently alienate other stars who are used to being the focal point? Or does it, as Kelce suggests, unlock the full potential of the unit? The analysis of the Eagles' play calling shows a tendency to become predictable in high-pressure situations, often reverting to a few standard concepts rather than exploiting the unique mismatches that their elite talent provides. Kelce's critique essentially exposes the fact that the brain trust in Philadelphia might be overthinking this simple task of getting the ball to their best players. We also have to consider the hot seat factor. While Nick Sirianni has had success, the collapse of last season still haunts the narrative surrounding his leadership. A public rebuke from a team leader like Kelce adds a layer of scrutiny that most coaches can't survive if results don't follow. If the Eagles' offense doesn't show immediate improvement in featuring the players Kelce highlighted, the questions about Sirianni's long-term viability will become deafening. Looking at the broader NFL landscape, specifically the Chicago Bears, who are now led by Ben Johnson, we see offenses that are defined by their ability to adapt and feature their best weapons creatively. The Eagles were supposed to be in that elite tier of modern offenses, but Kelce's comments suggest they are lagging behind. The internal dissatisfaction mentioned in the Yardbarker report is the most concerning part of this entire saga. Internal dissatisfaction in a locker room as veteran-heavy as Philadelphia is like a virus. It spreads quickly. If the offensive line, led by Kelce's influence, even in a quasi-retired or veteran leadership role, feels that the strategy is flawed, it affects the execution of every block and every snap. You cannot have 100% buy-in when your leaders are publicly questioning the blueprint. Moving forward, the Eagles have to address this in the film room immediately. They need to look at the game changer Kelce is talking about, be it a specific wideout, a dynamic running back, or a mismatch nightmare at tight end, and find ways to manufacture touches. In the modern NFL, potential game changers are the difference between a divisional round exit and a Super Bowl parade. The analysis suggests that the Eagles' coaching staff has been too rigid, perhaps trying to prove that their system works rather than letting the players' talent dictate the flow of the game. This is a classic trap for many NFL coaches, and Sirianni is currently caught right in the middle of it. The fallout from this will be monitored closely by every scout and executive in the league. If Kelce's blast leads to a more explosive, versatile Eagles offense, he will once again be credited with saving the season. If the coaching staff digs in their heels and ignores the veterans' advice, we could be looking at the beginning of the end for the current regime in Philadelphia. The stakes could not be higher, and the margin for error has completely vanished. The city of Philadelphia expects excellence, and Jason Kelce just reminded everyone that good enough is no longer acceptable for this franchise. The deep dive into the analytics proves that when the Eagles' best players are the focal point, they win. When they are decoys, the Eagles struggle. It's time for Nick Sirianni to listen to his legendary center and make the necessary adjustments before it's too late.